What's going on, everybody? I'm Johann Castro. It is about 11 p.m. local time where I am. Yeah, a little after 11 when I'm making this video. But I told myself and I vowed to myself that if this news got announced, I would try to make some sort of video as quick as I could to express kind of my initial thoughts on what's going on and more or less, um, what to expect going forward. So, anyways, I'm away from my house right now. That's why this is not, the usual surroundings, more or less. I'm filming this on a phone. But alas, here we are. But anyways, guys, it's finally time, hopefully, time number 5. Khabib Nurmagomedov and Tony Ferguson. Here we go. April 18th in Brooklyn. Brett Okamoto of ESPN reported it. And, yeah. Just an insane fight. Obviously, just, it's been one of the most hyped fights ever since it first got announced 4 or 5 years ago. It's been the one that's gotten away. Now, finally, hopefully the 5th time's a charm. And I gotta say, I mean, this time, we're at a point in time now where it's almost as if the wait has been worth it. You look at Khabib, and he's evolved into a star. He's obviously beat Conor McGregor late last year, beat Dustin Poirier earlier this year. So now his star is as big as it's ever been. He's growing into this, monumental superstar. A lot of people think soon he will rival Conor McGregor in terms of his superstardom. And Tony Ferguson, last couple of times we've seen him, he's delivered a fight of the year against Anthony Pettis and one of the fights of 2019 against Donald Cerrone. So it almost seems like this fight, we've been waiting for a reason. And it's almost as if the MMA gods have, put us through this wait and put us through these perils and these trials just for this moment. Because this fight really does feel, this feels massive. I know Conor McGregor, he just got his fight with Cowboy announced. And while that fight may sell a little bit more just off of Conor's name value, this fight feels exponentially bigger in terms of impact, in terms of the future of not only, of course, the lightweight division, but also the future of how the UFC books these fights going forward, the future of, again, Khabib as a star. If he gets past Tony Ferguson, he blew up when he beat Conor McGregor. How much more is he going to blow up if he beats a guy like Tony Ferguson, an animal who's won 13 fights in a row, a guy who people have been clamoring for him to get this title shot since before Khabib was even a contender. There were people back in 2015 saying that he should fight for a title when he was ranked like number 8 or 9. This has just been, it's been so long in the making, and it feels, again, like now is the perfect time. Like this wait will have all been worth it in due time come April 18th. And it's a fascinating fight for so many reasons. The reason that I am so high on this fight, and the reason that this is the fight I want more than any other fight, maybe my entire life I've wanted this fight more than any other fight. The main reason why is because these truly are, in my opinion, the 2 best lightweights of all time. Not just in the world right now, although of course they are in the world right now. But I think the winner of this fight cements their legacy as the greatest 155-pound fighter of all time. Period. End of discussion. You got Khabib, who's now won 12 in a row in the UFC. Tony, who's won 13 in a row. You're going to have, it's hard to argue legacy for the winner of this fight. Really. In considering that each guy is the toughest that the other one will have faced, it almost makes that just, it locks that in stone. There's really no discussion about that. You know, people make the argument for BJ Penn. I always make the argument, well, not really. He fought in an era where lightweight had nothing. A lot of people make the argument for Frankie Edgar. I think he lost at least one of those Gray Maynard fights. So, for my money, this decides the greatest lightweight of all time, really. And, again, this is the toughest matchup that either guy will probably ever face in their careers. Unless, of course, they potentially rematch, which could very well happen if Tony Ferguson wins. Of course, in the case of Tony, he's never fought anyone who is as dynamic a grappler as Khabib, anyone who has the forward pressure and the constant, just absolute, just juggernaut attack that Khabib has. But on the other, on the other side of the same token, Khabib has never faced anyone who fights like Tony Ferguson. And what I mean when I say that is he hasn't faced anyone who has that unorthodox style where it's almost a dance more than it is a fight. He's never faced anyone who has the high-level grappling background like Tony has. I mean, you can make the argument Gleison Tibau did, but he didn't have one like Tony did. Same thing with RDA. You know, this is going to be 100% the toughest fight that either of these guys will face in their careers. And had to, yeah, let's get it a little bit brighter there. Come on now. Whatever. It is what it is. But anyways, this is just, it's such a fascinating fight. And, you know, I know people are going to point to, well, Tony should have lost to Danny Castillo and Khabib should have lost to Gleison Tibau and this and that. But here's what you have to keep in mind. Number one, don't put too much value into fights that occurred over 5 years ago. I don't even put value into fights that occurred over 3 years ago, let alone fights that occurred, you know, as long as those two did. And I think really when you look at both of those fights, I mean, both guys struggled in those fights. You know, when you watch that Khabib-Gleison Tibau fight, Khabib obviously struggled to take him down. But Tibau really didn't do too much to him. So it's almost unfair to compare Tony Ferguson to a guy like Tibau. But on the other hand, Danny Castillo, while he is a dynamic wrestler, he's not that same style where he's just going to push you forward like Khabib will, where he's going to just relentlessly keep going for takedowns, has that superior technique to everyone else like Khabib does. So, again, it's one of those fights where you really can't look at any other fight prior to it to make a judgment call on it. You really can't compare these guys, you know, to previous opponents because they're both so unique in their own way in the way they fight. And again, for my money, the winner of this fight is the greatest lightweight in MMA history. And I really don't think there's any debate about it. I can't wait for it. I plan on being in attendance. I'm going to look at plane tickets probably as soon as I'm done making this video. But I'm psyched, guys. Khabib and Tony, it's been announced for the 5th time. Let's pray, if you believe in prayer. Let's pray to the MMA gods that we finally get this fight that we have long, you know, just absolutely yearned for all these years. And let's just hope against hope, that we finally get it this 5th time, and the time has never been right for it.
Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
Unknown MMA. Everything you don't know about